So welcome everyone to another episode of Accounting for Old Cars, and you join me today in Tess, my 1967 Triumph Vitesse 2 litre. And first off, apologies for the fact that I haven't put out any films in the last couple of months, and by way of explanation, I should just explain that my job has developed in a rather wonderfully but unexpected way, and the truth is I have been absolutely flat out at work and with various other projects, which just hasn't given me the time to make these films, which, as you know, is a real sort of passion of mine. But today I've managed to grab a couple of hours. It is a Sunday morning. It's the 27th of October. As you can see, a beautiful autumn day here in Suffolk in England, and the clocks went back last night. So this was really the end of British summertime. And it rather means that I've got a bit of a jump on the world this morning. Everybody else is still in bed enjoying their well-earned lay-in, but Tess and I have decided to go and prowl the Suffolk roads because we're headed to a very pretty little market town right up on the Norfolk-Suffolk border along the Waveney Valley called Bungay. And I wanted to give you a little bit of a tour of Bungay, because for me Bungay represents the sort of last gasp of old Suffolk. It hasn't been spoilt and overdeveloped in the way that many other towns and villages have been, and it has a lot of wonderful architecture there, which I thought we'd have a little look at. So today is one of the best days we've had for a little while here for driving like this. The temperature is mild. It's early in the morning, hence the top is still up. But as you can see, the sunshine promises the most beautiful day. It's been a little while since I've been out in Tess on a proper drive or a fast run, and I'm really looking forward to this trip. Some of you might have seen, I put a post on YouTube and Facebook couple of weeks ago to explain the rather sad situation with Bess, my Mark II, and that is to say that a little while ago I took her out with my wife Sarah, and we were just going to go down to the shops in her, and along one of these country roads, the back spring, which in the small chassis Triumphs is a transverse spring, it unexpectedly broke as we were travelling down one of these undulating lanes, and we're on a similar sort of road surface here at the moment. And what has become a real problem in this rural area is not so much the potholes, although those are still a horrible feature, but the weight of agricultural vehicles, and I'm sorry to say the sort of fashion for modern SUVs and electric cars, means that the foundations underneath the tarmac in these roads simply cannot support the weight of these cars, and so the road surface is sinking and becoming uneven. And in vehicles like Tess, where the suspension is rather agricultural, I have this sort of theory that the constant oscillations as the car's sort of riding these waves is putting undue strain on the suspension components. Now in this case it looks as though the transverse leaf spring had given up, but it wasn't, from the look of the photographs, and I'll sort of try and put these into this video somehow, it wasn't the sort of sudden catastrophic failure of all the leaf springs in one go. It looks as though two of the springs had either cracked or broken earlier, and for some time the car had been riding basically on just one leaf spring before, as I say, we went over one of these undulations and the whole back suspension collapsed. Now I think if I lost a leaf spring in this car I would notice it immediately, because Tess has the earlier style axle without the rear lower wishbones, and she's a much daintier car to drive, and that means you really feel connected to the road surface, or not, as the case may be. But I think I would actually notice something like a broken leaf spring almost immediately, which I have to say I did not on the Mark II, which is for various reasons a much heavier car. So unfortunate in some ways, very lucky in others, because we were doing about 20 miles an hour when it happened. The day before I'd been on the A12 in the same car at 70, and if we'd had a catastrophic failure at that speed on those roads, I dread to think what the outcome would have been. And you know, it may be my fault because of something in the maintenance I've overlooked, but I should say that both these cars are MOT'd, and so whatever happened, one assumes must have happened after the MOT earlier this year. But what I did was I sent the car on the back of a low loader courtesy of the RAC to John and David at Anglian Triumph Services out at Ditchingham, and they looked at it quickly, sent me some photographs and said, yep, should be fairly straightforward, we just replace the transverse spring. And then a couple of days ago I got a call from David to say that actually it was a little bit more complex than that. It appears that when the spring broke, it managed to crack the differential housing, and they're now going to have to locate a new differential shell. The gears and everything inside the differential we think are okay, and it's a real shame because Tony, who owned that car before me, one of the last things he did before he passed the car on was to actually replace the differential. So it's a real shame, but I've asked Anglian Triumph Services to go through the whole of the rear suspension, so I think we're going to sort of have new bushes, new spring, probably new dampers as well, and so I hope that she'll be a sort of a much improved version of the car that she was a couple of weeks ago. So we're just coming into this little village of Heveningham here, which is a place we've seen before. A rather nice 1990s late classic Mini. But we're just starting to see the autumn colours coming out here. So we're just on the road from Framlingham to Halesworth here. This is one of my favourite routes. It's a favourite of mine because it's very pretty. It's a nice route to drive slowly on, but as you may be able to tell from the way the camera is moving, the road here is not in the best condition, and it's not a road for fast driving, but the scenery is magnificent. The wonderful oak trees on either side of this road here. Most of the land here has been sort of given over to pasture and sheep farming, so it's something of a rarity in this part of Suffolk actually. You know, so much of the agricultural land is devoted to growing cereal crops, but here there's something altogether much more pastoral about this scene. This is quite a nice straight which runs between Halesworth and Bungay, where we're headed, and it used to be a really nice fast road. We're doing about 55 here at the moment, but because there are a couple of linear villages, we run very quickly into 30-mile-an-hour speed limits, which is sensible, but it takes a bit of the fun out of a drive. I'm just looking at the sunshine and thinking that actually what we ought to do is pull over in a second and drop the top. I'm always conscious of the fact you never know how many sunny days you're going to get as we approach winter, so it seems like a good time to actually make the most of it. It'll be a little bit chilly, but I've got the heater on, so I'm sure I'll be okay. So I'll find somewhere to pull over, and then you'll join me later, al fresco as they say. If we can get the top down. Well, that feels better already. Fresh air. You get a sense of these wonderful blue skies this morning. I mean, completely cloudless. not a great lover of autumn and winter, but I'll take a day like today. Excellent. National speed limit, we can open the taps. Yeah, this is the kind of roads that this car really likes. Sort of relatively smooth, fast roads with gentle bends. As you can see, the road ahead of us is wonderfully clear this morning. So no tractors, no caravans, no tourists. Fantastic. So this is Bungay now, and as you'd expect, as we're coming in, we're looking at the 19th century architecture left and right. One or two post-war properties, but as we go further in, we go back in time, and Bungay in the medieval period, sort of particularly after the Norman conquest, had its own castle here. There was a priory, and in the centre of town there are three churches. We've got a sort of a very early church over on the right, which is from sort of Norman times, a 19th century Catholic church. So what did that take? 400 years for Catholicism to return. And then this magnificent church here on my right, which again was part of, I think, of the old priory. We're looking at Georgian facades to very early medieval timber frame buildings off here. Again, the remains of one of the big Georgian hotels. One of Bungay's biggest industries was the printing industry, and clay printers of Bungay have their works just down the road here. We might get a chance to go past and have a look. But a lot of books on your bookshelves will have been printed by clay printers here in Bungay. You can see it's very quaint. It's coming around the back of the print works actually, which is off to our right. It's very nice late Victorian white brick houses here, and just turn around. So again, being located on the Waveney River, the export of grain on barges and malting barley was a big part of the sort of 18th and 19th century industries here. And I've talked about the role of river transport in Suffolk in previous videos. Just ahead of us, this is a rather sad sight. This is Whiteman and Sons, and until very recently this was the department store in the town, and you know, most of these market towns you know, had their own department stores where you could sort of just about buy everything. This shut quite recently, and of course, you know, in the sort of modern days of sort of internet shopping, there is absolutely no chance of another department store returning here. Just gonna pull over and let this car go past. So it's a sort of a vanished era. But one that I'm sure has very happy memories for lots of people who lived and grew up in Bungay. Little restaurants here. Again, we're looking at these sort of wonderful Georgian facades. There's some buildings across the road here with these high Dutch gables. Yeah, just very quaint, very pretty. And it's almost as though in the blink of an eye you're out of a town and then straight into the countryside. I think it's very easy to be distracted when you come to visit Suffolk by the big tourist destinations. You know, those towns like Bury St Edmunds, Aldborough, Southwold. But if you get the chance, come and have a look at some of the lesser known little market towns like Bungay, because there's so much to see and enjoy here. Even if you're only here for an hour or so, just have a sort of wander around, grab a cup of coffee. You know, a lot of it has gone unchanged for 300 years, and Bungay provides a fascinating glimpse into the past and a sense of the unbroken timeline, really, from Saxon England through to the Norman conquest, and then the Reformation, the agricultural revolution of the 18th century, and then the industrial revolution of the 19th century, and right up until now to the 21st century. So this is somewhere really I'd recommend coming and having a look at. We're coming into the village of Flixton, and Flixton is famous for its wonderful little air museum. And this is it. The Norfolk and Suffolk Aviation Museum. Unfortunately, museum shut. We're a bit early today, but you can see there are all sorts of aircraft located here from the Cold War era, and I'll just close in on board. I don't know if you'll be able to pause this video and have a look at it, but yeah, we'll be opening in about an hour's time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little trip out in Tess with me to Bungay and the Flixton Air Museum. If you get a chance, come and have a look for yourself. The museum's open daily from 10 AM. It's delightful, and there's a lot to see here in the main hangar, as well as the aircraft parked around the outside. But yeah, you know, jump in your car, come and enjoy this part of Suffolk, and in the meantime, I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Take care. Oh wow, it's good to be back.